Number two, going to the number two book that affected my life in a massive, significant way, is one that might surprise a lot of people, and that is the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I read this book when I was on a road trip with two buddies of mine from MIT. We drove from San Diego to Boston. It took us 5 days. And we drove in an old Camaro with no air conditioning through the desert, right, of Arizona, West Texas. I went to Louisiana, we went to New Orleans. We jumped in a pool in New Orleans. I think we took a bath with soap in the hotel pool. I think we got thrown out. I think there was a lightning storm and a hurricane. Anyways, I used to do a lot of dumb stuff, but one of the things I did is I read the autobiography of Malcolm X in the back seat of this Camaro, and I told my two buddies, Roy Cantu and Hank Sawtell, who were in the front seat, who graduated with electrical engineering degrees and an aerospace degree, I was telling them what the chapters were because I was so riveted with the story of Malcolm X. And so if you've seen the movie with Denzel Washington, it's amazing. But you hear this story of Malcolm kind of growing up, starting his life as a hustler, as a drug dealer. I even think he did some pimping in there as well. And then later to go to prison and to learn how to read and to accept Islam into his life, to become part of the Nation of Islam, and then evolve to where he was a major force in the civil rights movement, to where he was actually for violence if necessary. He has a great quote, by any means necessary. I love that quote. I try to say that around here when we're trying to get things done at London Real, by any means necessary, which means whatever it takes to get done, even if you have to get nasty and get mean. And I was really impressed with Malcolm because he was someone who learned, he was someone who changed his opinion, he was someone who pulled the trigger. And at the very end of his life, when he was calling white people the devil, he actually went to Egypt on the Hajj, the pilgrimage that all Muslims are supposed to make in their lifetime, and he saw white Muslims, and he said, what's going on here? Maybe I was wrong. And he came back, and that's probably the reason he was assassinated, because he separated from the Nation of Islam, because again, he wasn't afraid to be himself and to change his mind and to tell you what he thinks. And again, someone who just said that was David Icke. David Icke said, Brian, be yourself. A lot of my guests on London Real say their opinions, even when they're not popular. I do the same, and that's what you should do the same, and that's what I admire about Malcolm X. He was a guy that evolved, he was a guy that learned, and he was a guy that pulled the trigger and stood for what he believed in and wasn't afraid to change his beliefs when they were no longer true, even though it might have kept him alive and might have kept him in favor with the Nation of Islam. So it's a great book. Funny enough, Rose McGowan, one of the starters of the Me Too movement, this is one of her favorite books as well. It's a great book, it's a great movie. Thank you to Spike Lee for making it, but definitely pick up a copy. And again, I love kind of embracing this whole culture I knew nothing about, this counterculture, this experience. I ultimately love people who survive a struggle. And that, I don't care who you are. As long as you survive a struggle, I can relate to you. Whether your skin is a different color, or your religion is a different color, I don't care. But if I can see the human struggle inside you, it's inspiring, it'll help me transform. That's really what we're doing here at London Real. And if you look at the guests, that's what I'm trying to do, get you inside their head so they can inform, enlighten, and transform you. At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.